Distance can be a major barrier to accessing quality healthcare on time. That's where Angel Flight East comes in. Welcome to Takeoff Talk with Angel Flight East, a nonprofit dedicated to providing free flights for children and adults who need medical treatment far from home. We don't know how many people forego medical care because they don't have accessible transportation, and that's what this podcast is here to change. Join passionate AFE staff members Jess, Ames, and Maddy, Beck as they share real-life stories from people who have used AFE services to get the care they need when they need it.
Hey, frequent flyers. Welcome back with another episode of Takeoff Talk. You're here with me, Maddy.
And me, Jess.
And today we have two guests for you. First, we have Larry, who is a founder of Angel Flight Northeast, as well as a passenger who flies with Angel Flight East through Angel Flight Northeast, Tim. Hi, guys.
Hi there. How are you?
We're great. How are you?
Good, thank you.
And Maddy, how are you? Great to be with you guys today.
We are so happy to have you guys. So, Tim, do you want to get started by telling us a little bit about your journey and your health journey overall?
Sure. Thank you. We'll go back a few years. In May of 2016, I turned 50 years old. And it seems like as soon as I turned 50, my warranty ran out on everything. And I had my scheduled colonoscopy and was diagnosed with stage 2 colorectal cancer. And so started going through treatments and everything. And we were using the local hospital here in Vermont, but things were getting a little bit complicated and had to use a Boston hospital, Mass General. Is it okay to mention them? I guess it's too late now, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And then we were also, things got a little bit more complicated with my situation, and we started looking at Sloan Kettering in New York City. And then travel expenses really started getting out of control because we live 6 hours away from New York City. And a cousin of mine who lives in Boston reached out to me and she said, "Hey, I know that you're spending a lot of time on the road and in the air. Have you ever heard of Angel Flight?" And I'm like, "No, I have not." And she said the company that she was working for at the time, I guess, helped raise some money and awareness for Angel Flight Northeast. So she gave me the link and I went to their site, filled out their online questionnaire. And literally, I think it was like 45 minutes later, Heather, who's no longer with Angel Flight, reached back out to me and she said, "We got your information. You're good to go. We just need a doctor's note saying you can fly." And fast forward now to the present, and we are coming up on 100 flights with Angel Flight Northeast.
Wow.
I know. Isn't
That's
that amazing?
amazing.
Yeah, talk about a milestone.
And it is a huge milestone. And, my wife and I constantly say that they've helped save my life, without a doubt.
Oh.
I would not be here. They've added years to my life.
Wow. And so what I also just heard you say, without you saying it, is that they've saved you 1,200 hours in a car.
Are you that quick with math?
I like to think I am. So I might be lying. I might really just embarrass myself.
Yeah. Somebody's going to have to fact check you.
But if I did that right, I think I
did.
did. I'm like sitting here. So I don't know if I even heard the last few seconds of what you said, but I'm like, okay, 600, 6 times 100. So like, yeah, I think that's like 1,200 hours.
That's amazing. So yes, 1,200. Look at all of that time that they have saved. And I will tell you that along with that time, or that shortened amount of time, we have met the most wonderful people. These pilots are absolutely amazing. Larry and his entire staff are just, they are truly angels. I joked last year at the Night of Angels, but I was actually also very serious, where I don't think he should be Father Larry. I think he should be Saint Larry.
That's amazing. Yeah, we love that. So we always talk about how much Angel Flight East does for passengers, and we always like to make a point we're not the only organization out there that does this type of work. So Larry, can you tell us about Angel Flight Northeast and how you came to find it and everything you do there as the founder? And is it executive director or president? I always get the titles mixed up.
President. Either one. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yes. You know,
Either one. Head father in charge.
bottle watcher, hi Madeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you, we've just going off what Tim said, we feel very blessed, very privileged that we provide 100 flights for Tim and Candy here at Angel Flight Northeast. And we started flying you, Tim, if you remember, December 2018. So in another week or so, it'll be 5 years. And to save 1,200 hours of driving, that's amazing. It's incredible. But I founded Angel Flight Northeast back in 1996. I always wanted to be both a Catholic priest and a pilot, and got the priesthood years and years ago, almost 50 years ago. And in my late 40s, I wanted to get my pilot's license. So I started taking flying lessons. I got my private license, then went on, got my instrument rating. And, we're talking we had being a hospital chaplain for many years and in hospice ministry, knew that from the Boston hospitals and everything and healthcare people, that there was a great need to transport people from distances who had to come regularly for medical treatment. And where access was prohibitive because of the long car drives they had to do when they were, they're depleted emotionally and physically. And to find out from Mid-Atlantic, Angel Flight Mid-Atlantic, what I had to do, went down to their offices 28 years ago. And they said, well, let's start the meeting with a prayer. I said, terrific. So we did. I was in jeans and a sweatshirt back then. And so here it'll be 28 years in February. So we've, scheduled
Me
over.
too.
Huh?
I'll be 28 in February.
You don't look a day
Hey.
over 20.
There we go. Thank you. That's what I thought.
You couldn't.
But yeah. Wow.
So,
Same birthday as Northeast. I love it.
Yeah,
Did
we've
I
been very, very
understand that?
blessed to be flying for almost 28 years, scheduling over 108,000 flights, flying over 15 million miles to 750 medical centers throughout the United States.
Wow.
All free, and as you know, we all do this all free of charge. So like Tim needed one flight or 100 flights or 1,000 flights, it would never cost him a penny. So we feel very, very blessed. For us here at Angel Flight Northeast, it's true ministry. We feel that, we're doing God's work and answering the call that when he asks us to serve people, we do it in a very loving, caring, transformative way.
Do you find that people still think it's too good to be true? That's our biggest challenge in the outreach side of Angel Flight, that people still think they're going to get a bill at the end of the flight, or it's just not a real service.
Jessica, you just hit it. I think what has been difficult for us to understand, we've done marketing and we constantly do marketing. We don't find that from the patients. We find that from the medical staff at hospitals. You'll go in and give a presentation and they say, are there any questions? And someone will say, a case manager, social worker, nurse, we don't believe a word you just told us. No one is that altruistic. No companies do what you do. It's too good to be true. You're either going to bill the patient or you're going to bill the hospital. But we don't believe you have that many caring, generous pilots who donate their time, the fuel, the cost of flying their plane. There's got to be a quid pro quo somewhere.
All right.
And that's so, in 28 years, it's so tough to overcome that way of thinking. And you must find it too at East.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim, was that your first thought when you first heard about Angel Flight?
I just I couldn't wrap my head around it, and so I went to the site and I read, their about and their mission. And then I'm just like, oh my gosh. All right. I'll fill out this questionnaire. And it was like I said, Heather called me 45 minutes later and then we were set up for our first flight. But, as Candy and I continue on this journey, we are constantly, waving that Angel Flight flag wherever we go. And it's still surprising to me to this day that there's so many people that don't know about the organization itself. And so we explain it to them, and literally sometimes it's just like, okay, can you pick your jaw back up, please? Like they're just in such shock and disbelief that there's such an amazing organization out there that is so generous. And like Father Larry said, it's not just his staff, but it's also all these pilots who are donating their time. And I'll tell you that wherever we're flying to, whether it's New York or Boston or back home, the ground crews, they hear all the flights are changed to Angel Flights. And I don't know if they go on best behavior at that point, but the ground crews are amazing to everybody. I mean, everyone's very caring.
Yeah. And we always find that too. The pilots are so incredibly humble. They love to fly, and this gives them a reason to fly. And they never want any recognition for what they do, as we're singing their praises from the mountaintops and trying to give them all these awards and just make sure everybody knows the time and the money that they give to oftentimes complete strangers to get them to their life-saving medical care.
Yeah, Jess, you're absolutely right. It's never ceased to amaze me how humble our pilots are. All of our pilots, and how they want no recognition, and they love to fly. This gives them a great reason to fly, because putting a friend in your plane and flying for a hamburger, that gets old pretty quick. What do you have the skill for?
Yeah, we'll go.
Right, you're getting the less fun end of the deal.
Lobster on the Vineyard's fine, or Nantucket, and that gets old pretty quick. So this gives people a tremendous sense of mission and the way to use the gift of who they are. But they're an amazing group of men and women. They are incredibly humble, incredibly giving, and we won't even accept a donation from a patient or family that we're flying. Even if we're flying someone over 5 years or sometime with the children 15 years, and they want to send a donation, we will not accept it, because we don't want any sense of quid pro quo. Well, you're doing this for me, we have to do something for Angel Flight Northeast. No, this is our time to minister to you, to give to you, to support you in your journey. And we're blessed to be able to do that. I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yeah, no, it's totally different. Everybody always asks us, what can we do for you? And just talk about it. Just tell people what you did and help it so people don't look at us. Because we do the same exact presentations that you were talking about earlier, right, Larry. And I feel like every presentation I give, I was like, hi, I'm more than just a spammy Facebook ad. You are going to get the pair of shoes at the end of this. When you press checkout, there will be something at your doorstep. We aren't going to scam you. This is true. This is what we do. And so many people are always like, well, what can I do for you? I'm like, just tell people that we're real. Tell people we exist. Listen to our podcast. Go and share our stuff on Facebook. It's not so much of a financial request from patients or anything like that. It's just helping us make sure that people know who we are.
Right. Exactly.
Tim, do you have a favorite flight that you've done with Northeast that you want to share?
Oh my goodness. Out of the 100, I would
Which
never
one?
I could never pinpoint it down to one flight or one pilot, because along with these pilots being such amazing individuals, they also become your friends, and they care. And it won't surprise me if at some point this week that I'll get a text or an email from one of the pilots from the past, just saying, hey, just thought about you, just checking in. It happened over the weekend because of the Night of Angels, where I was getting texts from people. We couldn't go because unfortunately I'm going through treatment again, and I have to kind of lay low a little bit right now. And but I was getting texts from pilots and everything, which was just so nice. And one of the pilots sent a picture of his dessert before and his dessert after, which looked very, very good. So it's just to me, I would never pinpoint it. I will tell you, I've flown in amazing aircrafts, and I'm an aviation buff. So like we'll walk out on the tarmac and be walking towards a plane. I'm like, oh, that's a such and such. And sometimes I can get right within a ballpark of the year of it. And we've flown on everything from a Mall 7, which is a very small single engine aircraft, to jets. Like it's unreal. And that definitely the jets cut down on the travel time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a bit, nice. Yep. They are pretty awesome.
I always think once somebody flies in a jet or a King Air, anything like that, they can't go back to the smaller airplanes because it's just not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same, but I think a lot of it because I love aviation. And so my wife is with me on every single trip because she's not only my wife, but she's my caregiver. And so at first she was a little bit nervous about it because, as Father Larry said, it was December of 2018. So we're in the middle of, the start of winter in Vermont, which most of the airplanes have snow plows attached to the front of them. So she's just like, oh my gosh. But she is now just like so comfortable about it, and just loves being able to like talk to the pilots, understand, learn about them. We always find out how they got involved in flying, and because these people all usually have other jobs too, or this is their retirement gig, this is their hobby now. And I just think like, oh my goodness, wouldn't it be amazing to be in a situation where my hobby could be transporting people in need? Like, how amazing.
Yes. Well, we all love you and Candy, Tim.
Likewise.
It's all about patience. We all get so close, and after 5 years, 100 flights, we're family.
We are family. We certainly are. And Jonathan and Georgie in your office are just amazing. And like, it never ceases to amaze me. Like sometimes I'll like forget, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I didn't put in a flight request. And it might be like a Friday late afternoon, and I'll put it in. They're like, okay, no problem, we'll put it in. And then over the weekend, they'll be like, okay, here's who's picking up the first part of your leg. And, no mission, like, they just have focused attention to every detail, which is unbelievable.
Love it. And so now, I have to bring this up, but can you tell us a little bit about your coping mechanism with your diagnosis?
So I think probably I know where you're leading.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Tee this one up.
Yeah.
See, I don't have hand-eye coordination, so it has to be a T at all times.
Yeah.
Just tell them it's under the seal of confession. You can't go there.
Well, I'm not going to tell you the name of the show because that would be swearing in front of Father Larry.
Okay.
But
it rhymes with.
You're absolved, brother. You're absolved.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right, so I will tell the title, but I'll tell you how I got there. I've always been involved in entertainment, and I learned at a very young age. And I will tell you, it was third grade in Mrs. Ledoux's class, how I learned how to make my classmates laugh. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Like, why do I have to study when I can make people laugh? And then my focus became, I just want to be the class clown. That's all I want. And when my parents would say, hey, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I just want to be the class clown. They're like, okay, let's talk about this. And, it just never was not like, they thought my priorities were a little bit mixed up. But fast forward to where I am with my diagnosis, even though you're going through something as traumatic as a cancer diagnosis, there's things along the way that happen that you look back on them, and it is funny. And after 7+ years of going through cancer treatments, over 30 surgeries, I'm now on my 5th time of systemic chemo. I've done radiation four times. There's been a lot of stuff along the way where it's just like, how can this happen? And so friends of mine who really know me well, they're like, what are you going to do with this information? Like, your stories are gold. And so my wife and I talked about it, and one day I just said to her, I go, you know what? I have to do a show. It has to be a one-man show, and I have to deliver it. And she goes, what are you going to call it? And like right there, I knew, I'm like, it's got to be the show because I have colorectal cancer. So I've been doing my version, or different versions rather, of the show. The first one was the show, how one man dealt with cancer while life was circling the drain. Then the second time I was diagnosed, it was the show, part 2 of my number 2, and then so on and so on. Now at my 4th diagnosis, it's more like the show. Are you me? So I just did a version. I was just a keynote speaker recently. I've done a lot of keynote speaking at different conferences and cancer-related events. I absolutely love it because it's therapeutic for me. I get to tell my side of the story. Candy's in my side of the story. There's always we're always talking about angel flight in there, and the journeys along the way. But even the one that I just recently did, people come up to me afterwards and they're like, oh my God, thank God for telling that story. Like, I'm a caregiver. What you just told us happened to my best friend, and but they would never tell us something like that or they wouldn't go in public with it like you did. And I just feel that cancer does not want you to be happy. They don't want you to laugh. And I'm not saying that cancer is funny. I'm just saying that we have to find our own coping mechanisms to be able to get through your own personal journey. And in mine, it's humor and energy because it's what I really know best.
I love it.
I think it's hilarious. I remember when you sent it to me, I was watching it, and Maddy and I previously shared an office, and she was like, what are you watching? And I was like, Tim's comedy stand-up. It's just amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was very welcomed. Like, I feel like, those TikToks, you guys, I don't know if you'll follow this one or not, because we built the cat out of the bag. I'm 28 in comparison to other people. But so that was directed at Jess, father, not anybody else. Anyway, so there's like these TikToks where it's like these women listening to comedies about like male comedians talking about what it's like to be married, and them filming their husband, and the husbands are just like nodding along, laughing. I felt like I was the husband, just being like, "What are you watching?" Like, like I was getting such a good chuckle, but I was so confused because I was like, "Am I supposed to laugh at this? Like, is this supposed to be funny?" Because I have a dark sense of humor. I admit it. Like, So.
And Jim, that's that whole sense of humor and what you found is self-therapeutic, is so healing.
Yeah.
Because like you said, when you're diagnosed with a cancer or something, it just wants to pull you down.
Right.
You could be destroyed so easily if you don't have love and humor in your life. And you have to have that support system, And I think it's a great coping mechanism you found. It's very, very healing. It's very therapeutic. It's very uplifting. And that other people can look to when they're trying to cope. How do they cope with something? So I think it's great what you're doing. Yeah, and you look terrific.
Thank you.
Every time I see you, you look better and better and better. So it's working, brother.
It's a special effect I put on the screen for today.
I'm looking at all your nice backgrounds, and I've got just a bulletin board worth of drawings the kids have sketched for me.
That's really special, though.
I love that, though. Yeah.
I should probably get something, different. When the kids draw pictures, I put them up in my office.
Yeah,
I love
awesome.
it. Yeah.
If I draw you a picture of Father Larry, will you put it up?
I promise I will.
All right, I'm going to do it.
You got it.
I still have a little problems coloring outside of the lines, just so you know.
I've always had that problem.
Right? It's our creative juices.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Let's do it.
Okay. Don't you love how at the beginning of this interview, he talked about that he wanted to be a priest and a pilot? And that's just the smart way of being Father Larry, because he's like, if I'm a pilot and I'm a priest, that puts me that much closer to God.
Yeah,
that's what
he's like got a cheat sheet or something. Like, did you Google this?
We're all
Father?
we're all close to him.
It's true, we are.
We sure are.
I love it. So now, Father, would you have any final thoughts that you would like to share with anybody thinking about getting more involved with an Angel Flight organization?
Well, like yourself, Maddy and Jess and Tim, you've said, and we've talked about how fulfilling it is when you can use the gift of who you are that makes a profound, transformative difference in someone else's life. It really makes a profound difference in your own life as much as we touch other people's lives. By doing so, they touch our life. And I think people feel that transformative aspect in their life by getting involved. That's so meaningful, that's so profound. By a simple act of kindness, driving someone in your car, flying someone in your plane, volunteering to get the word out, you're increasing people's ability to get to life-saving medical care, to access that care that will bring them love, healing, and hope. So I would encourage everyone to get involved in an Angel Flight organization.
Ooh, goosebumps.
Yeah.
I know.
All right, Tim.
You're up.
Yeah, that was a tough one to
Yeah.
follow.
Yeah.
So anything that you would tell somebody who is thinking about flying with an Angel Flight organization or even just exploring the option?
I think that there's so many people out there that have this fear of small aircrafts, right? And that's okay. But I will tell you, as we've talked about this earlier in the conversation, that these pilots, they are so caring and nurturing, and it really is the safest way of traveling, is by air. And if someone's thinking about it or have heard about it, look at Father Larry. You saw Jonathan. Well, actually, no one saw Jonathan, but we all saw Jonathan right before we started. The staff is there to help. They're there to answer questions. They're there to make part of this pain go away for you, and just ease that journey that much more. And that is exactly what Angel Flight does. It helps bridge that gap. It helps makes things a little bit easier, a lot easier, 100 times easier as I'm coming up on mine, than it has been in the past. So, my hat's off to all of you, really, because the work that you guys do is just phenomenal. And like I said, Candy and I, we just toot the Angel Flight horn every chance that we get.
Thank you, Tim.
Wow. I'm going to have sweaty eyes soon, and I usually only have those on Friday afternoons.
Yeah.
But thank you both so much. This is our first time doing it with more than one guest. So we really appreciate you sharing your stories and being here with us today. And we're just happy to get the word out more about Angel Flight.
Well, thank you, Jess, and thank you, Maddy, for inviting us. And it's great to be partners.
Yeah, we love working with you guys. And
We love
Tim, we're
working with
excited
you,
to
too.
have you with us as well. So
Thank you so much. Thanks for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
anytime.
Thank you, guys. God bless
See you
you.
guys
Thank
next
you.
week.
Have a wonderful
Bye.
Thanksgiving. Bye.
Bye,
you.
you too. Wow, that was so nice. I actually am surprised it went so well because I get nervous having multiple people that everybody's going to talk over one another. But it
I
flowed
know.
very nicely.
I know, especially because I feel like sometimes even we get excited and we talk over each other and like our telepathy breaks.
Yeah, but that was fun. I would love to go see Tim's comedy in person. So I feel like we need to make a field trip.
I support that idea. Especially because the last time I was in New England and I went to see Larry, I brought him chocolate chip cookies in the whole like Northeast office. And they're the best chocolate chip cookies I think I've ever had. So we should go back to that place too.
Nobody ever brings me chocolate chip cookies.
Well, I don't know. I do too, actually.
All I get
You just
is
asked me to bake you a pie.
I know, but I haven't gotten it yet, have I?
It's been an hour.
Well, get home and start baking and peeling those apples.
Oh my goodness. For anyone who's curious, for as much of a like June Cleaver housewife that Jess is, she's not. She can't
I
cook
am.
and she can't bake.
I can't, but I can order DoorDash, and that is a thing of 2023.
And for as not of a housewife as I am, I can, at the bare minimum, bake.
Maddy still talks poorly of that time we did a cookie swap in the office, and everybody brought amazingly delicious homemade cookies. And I showed up, and the first thing she asked when I opened my cookie tin is, "Are those break and bakes?" And they were, but they're still good. So I will have you know, if you take break and bakes to any holiday party, I support you and I will not judge you, unlike others.
Listen, I only do it because it's you. And I know that it was your idea to do the cookie swap, so that way you didn't have to find a way to get cookies for your family to come have Christmas at your house.
That's true. I did open all those cookies as a Christmas dessert. I do it every year.
I love it. Oh my goodness. All right. Well,
we hope you
welcome
enjoyed
to
this.
a peek into the holiday season, I guess.
Yeah,
we'll
it gets
see
really
you guys
weird
again
here.
soon. Yeah.
Bye.
That's it for today's episode of Takeoff Talk with Angel Flight East. If you want to learn more about our services, please visit our website at www.angelflighteast.org or call our office at 215-358-1900. Join us in our mission. If you're a healthcare worker or a patient in need of air travel and flight services, AFE is here for you. Subscribe to the show so you can hear more stories. Join us again next week right here on Takeoff Talk.